On the fifth Sunday in Ordinary Time, in this liturgical cycle C, we read the pericope at Mass of the call of Simon the fisherman. This is the story of the miraculous fishing that we find in the different Gospels, but in the case of the Gospel according to Luke, there are some unique aspects that are interesting to note. The first thing is that after Jesus jumps into the boat of Simon, he begs him, or he asks him, but if we read it in Greek, Jesus is actually begging him to let him preach from his boat. After he finishes preaching, he no longer begs him, but he rather commands him to put out on deep waters and cast the nets. For a fisherman back there, this didn't make any sense at all. First of all, they used to fish during the night, but also they used to fish close to the shore. The reason for that was that the nets they used had weights tied around the perimeter of the net. So when the net was tossed on the water, it came deep in the water to the bottom of the lake, and then it would remain on top of the fish. Then when it was pulled out of the water, all those weights would come together and close, forming a sort of a bag that would contain all the fish. This way of fishing required the fishermen to dive inside the water to make sure that all the weights were actually completely closed. For this reason, they had to do it close to the shore, because if they did so in deep water, then that would be very difficult to do, very difficult to achieve, because this Lake of Gennesaret is about 120 or 130 feet deep. So diving becomes really hard, especially when you have to make this kind of effort as a fisherman. It didn't make any sense at all. Regardless, Simon obeys what Jesus is telling him, and it is interesting to see how Simon addresses Jesus, because he addresses him as master, but when we read the original in Greek, this master is not the master who is a teacher, because the word to refer to a teacher is didaskalos, and Jesus in the Gospel is called didaskalos many times, but on this time, Simon is actually calling Jesus epistates, or epistata in second person. The epistates is the supreme chief, is the president. So by calling him epistata or epistates, Simon is acknowledging Jesus as the one with the supreme authority. And for this reason, he is going to obey his command, even though it doesn't make any sense at all. They do, and as you know, they catch a lot of fish. They have to call the other boat, and they have to come, and they have to help, and then they catch so many fish that the two boats are almost sinking. Once they come back to the shore, we see another interesting aspect in the narrative of Luke. Up to this point in the story, Simon has been called Simon because we have read about Simon the fisherman. But at this point, he is no longer going to be called Simon. He is going to be called Simon Peter. And in fact, this is the only time in all the Gospel according to Luke in which Peter is addressed as Simon Peter. The reason is that the reaction we are about to see and the mission Jesus is going to entrust on him is no longer entrusted, and is no longer the reaction of Simon the fisherman, but of Simon Peter, the rock upon which Jesus will build his church, the one who one day will be the vicar of Christ, the one who will become the leader of the apostles, the first pope. So this Simon Peter reacts with humility by falling to the knees of Jesus and saying, "Depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." No longer the reaction of Simon the fisherman, but the reaction of Simon Peter. And again, this is the only time Luke calls him Simon Peter in all his Gospel. The last interesting detail in the Gospel according to Luke is the end of this pericope, because at the end it says, "When they brought their boats to the shore, they left everything and followed him." This is the only Gospel that tells us that the first apostles left everything and followed Jesus, left everything. Luke wants to make the point that their decision to follow Jesus was radical, was absolute. They were going to leave behind everything in order to follow him, and only Luke tells us about this interesting detail. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope these details help you to understand better the word of the Lord. Be passionate about our faith.